So, of course, a big part of the ride is actually riding bikes, not just the history. So I wanted to introduce the bikes to everyone, and just so you can get a sense of the bikes. I always love to ask people too, how many of you have actually ridden an electric bike before? The funny thing I noticed is that about a year ago, almost no people had experience with electric bikes. Now it's about 50-50, but if you haven't ridden an electric bike, these are a great introduction to electric bikes. This happens to be the most popular brand and model of electric bike in the United States, and for a really good reason. They're really fun to ride and really simple to ride. So let's get to it. All electric bikes have some kind of control panel. This one's very simplified right here. It's right here on the left-hand side, and a few buttons here. One, the orange button, actually wakes up the bike. And you're gonna see a few lights on here. The ones that are most relevant to you are the lights on the front here. Ranges from 0 up to 4. That's your power level. And on today's ride, I highly encourage everybody to ride in at least power level 2. The reason being, electric bikes, they're pretty heavy. 2 just allows us an easier time getting started from our stops. And we're also gonna cover a lot of ground today. At least 15 miles or around 25 kilometers. So this just helps us keep a pretty good pace too and have the most fun. Other than that, the way that you change the power levels, there's a plus and a minus button. You can probably infer what that means. Plus button just gives you more of a boost. Minus button drops it down. One last note too, the bikes will put themselves to sleep on a few occasions today after we're off the bike for like 7-8 minutes. So that's why you can just wake it up really easily by the orange button. Anyway, the other most important thing about, I would say, any bike are the brakes. These bikes have really great brakes, and pro tip though, I highly encourage everybody to grab both brake levers at the same time. I've been doing this for a very long time, and one thing I do notice from time to time is that people will break out their phones and start videoing the ride or take selfies as they're riding. Try not to do that. The only people that have ever fallen off their bike pretty much always have a phone in their hand, so that's just a little aside there. Other than that, you have a little pouch for a water bottle. We actually have some bottles for sale for $1 if anyone needs to pick them up, but stash your water bottle there. All the bikes are equipped with a basket, and we'll get you a bungee cord here if you need to strap down your bag. And then the final note about the bikes is they have a really nice kickstand here. This kickstand is really solid. It functions a little bit more like a scooter or a motorcycle than a standard bike kickstand. So there's a little trick to using it. So it's off the stand now. To get it on the stand, just put your foot on the stand until it hits the ground. And while it's hitting the ground, all you want to do is grab the handlebar and the saddle and rock the bike back. Now, I made it look pretty easy since I've done this thousands of times at this point, but you have to use a little muscle to do that. I'm sure you'll figure it out. And then other than that, we will fit you to the bikes and head on out. I wanted to introduce one last thing though that makes this bike tour very special among bike tours in the world. We're gonna utilize headsets today. The reason being, if you've ever taken a bike tour before, if you're lucky, you have an enthusiastic local who's excited to share the city. But the only person that gets the coolest tour is the person literally behind the guide, who's soaking in all the pro tips and tricks and insights, and everyone else is left in the dark. So to give everybody the most immersive experience, we're gonna utilize headsets. And so one thing about the headsets though, another layer of technology, right? Love, hate, is you have a cord to manage here. It's not that big of a deal. Just stash this receiver in the closest pocket that you have available and you'll do pretty well. Other than that too, the earpiece fits behind your left ear right here. And then a couple last things about the headset. You have to turn it on. There's an on-off button on the side. Of course, we're gonna throw a lot of information at you. If you ever wanna tune us out, you can turn it off. We won't feel bad. And then on the front here, a couple last buttons that you wanna pay attention to. The most important one, the volume button. The headset comes in quite loud in its native volume, so that's why we recommend dropping it down to like 1, 2, or 3. Power level 0 cuts out the sound, so again, if you wanna take a break. And then these other 2 buttons, I don't know who engineered these, but they added 2 extra buttons to change one of about 50 different channels on the user side. Doesn't really make any sense. So try not to hit these buttons, but brings up a general point. If you lose us along the way, you lose us on the microphone. Remember, this is a one-way communication system, so we want to hear everything that you have to say, but we won't be able to hear you via the headset. So just let us know if you need anything or if you lose the connection, and we'll reestablish it. It's really easy to do. So that's that. So we're just gonna call out people's names. All the bikes are labeled with your name on the handlebar, so we'll just pass them out, and then you can go on a test ride. Two couple things to remember. One, when you hop on your bike, get a feel for it. You can get a feel on the sidewalks, really, really wide, but just watch out for any pedestrians. But when you feel really comfortable, you can dip into the street and try to do a lap. There's very little traffic on this street. If that doesn't feel accessible, don't worry about it. We'll have plenty of time to practice together as a group on the first leg of our ride, which is all flat for a good amount of time. So thank you guys.